All right, looks like we are live. Yeah, we are on. Give it a couple seconds for, there we go. People start popping in. I don't know who's first tonight. Usually, Bill, usually we get Adam. What's up, Adam? Usually it's a race to see who's first on the live feed and who thumbs down our video first. That's the kind of people we hang out with and they'll be great gracious enough to announce it in the chat. They'll be like, "Hey, I was the first one to thumbs down the show."
That's nice. Love it.
So that's the people we hang out with. All right, you guys ready? Matt, Jose, Casey, you guys ready?
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
Yep.
And Casey, I didn't bring it up, but I'm very proud of you that you got plugged in and got on the feed without any technical
Jose
support.
made the comment that you weren't there. I plugged it in. It worked perfectly.
Yeah, usually it's my fault. I actually went to the settings on my side to make sure it worked before you logged in, just to make sure. Okay, here we go, Bill. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody! It is Tuesday night at 6:30. We are live on YouTube as we usually are on Tuesday nights. A couple people in the chat room already joining us, and joining us on the big screen in the studio is Bill Crawley from Lithium Auto Care. How are you doing tonight, Bill?
Doing awesome, Cody. How are you guys doing?
Good, good. Thank you so much for joining us from beautiful Salt Lake City. It is weather is crappy here in Southern California. Like we all think we're going to die because it's raining.
Is it beautiful in Salt Lake City?
Yeah. So what's it like in Salt Lake City right now?
You know, it's just got over a snowstorm and it's a little windy, but not bad for Salt Lake standards.
Yeah.
So
we have rain on the ground, which means apocalypse.
Oh,
People are going to die.
over.
Yeah.
There's debris strewn
It's-
about all the highways. It's rough. It's rough right
That's
now.
funny.
We cannot drive in SoCal if it's wet.
I worked from home today, and I used my sick daughter, as an excuse, but I just didn't want to drive. I didn't want to make my 15-minute commute to the office in the rain.
I don't blame you.
So you and I connected over the website. We shared a couple, or maybe it was you and Josh. Me and Josh that shared a couple emails about your product, and then we had a chance to talk to you a little bit before we started recording. But Lithium Auto Care. And you guys have it's Lithium Auto Care. LithiumAuto.com is the website. At Lithium Auto Elixirs on Instagram, and Detail and Bail on YouTube. Which I want to get to Detail and Bail because that's my favorite part. But tell me about Lithium Auto. Like, what's the backstory there? When and how did it start, and why?
Well, I'll try to make it as painless as possible and get to the main points. But I really, when I was a kid, I always bought these POS four-wheel drives and cars and was always working to try to make them look as good as my friends, which never happened. But during that time, I started mixing car waxes and things like that, to cover up all the Bondo that it was on my Jeep. And, just started playing around with different formulas and came up with some, started noticing that all the car waxes and things we were using got really chalky as they dried, and they became difficult to remove off the car. And so I started messing around with a fishing buddy of mine who was he was a chemist, and I'm like, why is this like this? And he's like, we're fishing. I don't want to talk right now. And finally he said, it's because they emulsify all these things with solvents. And when the solvents flash off, they leave the solids behind, and you just end up working with the solids. So I started mixing car waxes and things like that with things like avocado seed oil and grape seed oil and things that wouldn't flash off but would still emulsify and antioxidant qualities. And so the company started out, I was just making the stuff for myself and taking jars around to guys at car shows and stuff, and ended up putting some, ads in the back of Four Wheel Drive magazine and Porsche magazine and things like that. And we were selling, maybe 300 or 400 bottles of it a month, which it wasn't bad all said and done, but back in the day before the internet, you either sold through Checker Auto Parts or Riley or somewhere, or you never got anywhere.
Yeah.
Because you weren't selling against Turtle Wax or Mothers. And I had another company going that was eating up all my time, and this was kind of like, oh, what a pain. I don't know how to do both. And so I tried to give the company away to people and do things, and then no one would take it. I'm like, it's free, for God's sake. Take it. Oh, I'm really busy. I got to meet my brother-in-law. We're putting a new lift kit on, and I'm like, no, this is like a long-term thing. And so a few years later, I'd sold my other company, and I just decided, you know what? Now, this time around, I'm going to do what I'm passionate about. And so I just kind of put the band back together and started mixing up stuff again and trying to, make formulas that made a difference and really did what they said. And half the time we're right, and half the time it just goes in the garbage. And you're like, damn, another frying pan ruined. So
I think you'll just see me and Jose trying out different juices and things, like the way he was talking about grape extracts and lemons and stuff.
No.
Right?
If it was you and Jose, it'd be like, what if we took rum chata and
I would
Captain
never,
Morgan?
I would never waste
that.
I would never ever waste good alcohol.
No.
Now fruit, absolutely.
Yeah.
Whatever he said, emulsification or something with some grape juice. See how that works.
I love the fact that you're not a chemist and you're just mixing stuff together. And
How do you know he's not a chemist?
Because he said he wasn't a chemist.
Oh, not even close.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, let's see what happens if we squeeze some of this inside of some of that and make it. That's great. And then you're like talking to you had to take your buddy fishing to get the technical information out of him. That's how long ago was that? When did that start?
That was back in '93, I believe, that we started messing around with it. I believe in '94, my wife bought me a Bunsen burner, so I quit doing it in the house because she was so sick of it. And, it went on for 2 years that way. And then I kind of put it off to the side and then brought it back out in 2018 and just started, the technologies had come a long ways. And, there's just so many great things now that you can do to protect your paint, your plastics and stuff that, if I used to think, it's all snake oil. That's BS. But when you don't do it, you really know the difference between a car that's been taken care of and one that hasn't.
Oh, yeah.
And
especially you talking about, the Jeeps and stuff, and going back to the Jeep, and I haven't owned one in a while, but the ones I did own, the fender flares always got chalky and looked like crap. The hard tops always look like crap, and the windows. If you put the wrong stuff on the windows,
it's a Jeep, bro. I mean,
yeah, and I like to keep my truck looking rough, so that way, future vehicles know what to expect.
Yeah, nothing says player like a dirty truck.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's true too.
yeah.
Oh man, this truck gets around.
Yeah.
that's right.
But the chemicals, the stuff to use to, if you stay on top of that stuff, it never gets so bad. I think, to your point, every time I've purchased a Jeep, it's like, all right, well, there's a whole weekend of just trying to get everything back to looking halfway decent, so it's not fully dried out, and then trying to stay on top of it. And I will admit to not taking care of my Ranger as much, because I've kind of gotten to the point where a car's got about a 2-year shelf life with me. And once it starts to fade, instead of rubbing it out, I just trade it in. But I don't want to do that with the Ford. So I'm going to need your help, because I don't want to do that with the Ranger.
If there was ever a vehicle to do it with.
No, it's I absolutely love that truck. So what's the broad? I'm sure there's a lot, because I've looked at your website. But what if you were to give us a synopsis of products that you guys make? How would you classify what kind of stuff you provide for vehicles, and what kind of chemicals or what kind of products you making?
So we make ceramics that will easily DIY onto your paint, stops the micro scratches, and kind of just keeps it so it's. The mud basically just rolls off of it because nothing wants to stick to it. And we make crafted waxes.
Sounds
we
like
make
Casey.
Yeah. We make leather restoration products. But the one thing that I've been working on for years is just ways like you guys talked about to keep the plastic on Jeeps looking great, or any car. So we came up with something we call trim serum, and it has plasticizers in it and stuff, and it basically replaces what plastic starts to lose the minute you pull it out of the mold. And it starts to vape off all the things that keep it dark and rich. And this trim serum makes everything look amazing. And we're just like, we're so smart. And then in a month and a half, though, it's completely gone again, and everyone's calling you going, "Hey, a-hole, I just spent $29 on this. Why is it not working?" We're like, well, nothing's really permanent. So we started really working on a permanent solution, and we started mixing a material called graphene with another material called ceramic. And by putting the two together, the graphene wants to adhere to the plastic, and it's got a dark, rich look to it anyway. It's basically ground up pencil shavings if you broke it down to its basic science. And when you mix the two together, it really just makes plastic look like it's straight from the factory. It doesn't look shiny like you just doused it with some detailer or something like that. It doesn't look anything. But we passed them out to an influencer, and we do that early on so they can tell us that we suck or we don't or whatever is working. And this guy came back and we said, this stuff, according to our little machine, says it's going to last about 250 washes. And he called us out on it. He's like, 250 washes, you're kidding yourself. So he kind of lambasted us a bit, and publicly, naturally, which we were happy for. God bless him. But I had a conversation with him on the phone afterwards. We had a little wager, and not so much a wager as me groveling like a schoolgirl. Come on, just try it. But he ended up washing the plastic piece 1,475 times on YouTube and counted each one of them.
No,
and he couldn't get it to come off. And he's like, all right, so the stuff maybe has some potential, but you guys are still boneheads, And I'm like, thank you. So that was our first foray into coming up with ways to make off-road vehicles. And once you put the ceramic on the plastic trim on the fender flares and stuff, nothing really wants to adhere to it anymore. So water rolls off, UV rays roll off, mud rolls off, and so the original name for it was going to be Mudslide, but we decided, so we call them lithium trim cubes because we put them. This graphene is so expensive, not to bore everybody, but it's about $1,500 a gallon.
Oh wow!
And so,
oh my God!
So we emulsify it and cut it, but the only way we could make it so it wasn't it was a reasonably priced way to do your trim. It was to control how much you had. So we didn't sell it in a bottle. We sold it in these pre-impregnated sponges that one sponge you could do your entire car, and we just included 4 of them. And so it's turned out pretty good.
Does NASA know about this product?
Yeah.
What's that?
I said, does NASA know about this product? Or are you buying it from JPL or something? It sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah, Bill, but why should I put the ceramic stuff when I can do like everyone else on the internet and just get a blowtorch and go over the plastic
I was
trim
wondering that, Jose.
to darken it up?
Yeah.
Oh, no. You're dead on, Jose. You can do that, but all you're doing is taking the chemicals you're already losing and bringing them up to the surface.
Yeah.
So pretty soon you're gonna run out of resources.
Eventually, it's going to be a brittle piece of plastic that's going to break.
Now we know that explains things, Jose. When everything's faded and old looking, just take a flame torch to it.
It looks brand new after, right?
I want to. You talked about naming that product Mudslide. I would like to address the names of some of your products, if I could, because I believe that they fit in well with our audience.
The clay is
the
best
4
one.
clay and luster lube. He's got gloss sauce, leather love,
yes,
really great, the trim serum, slather, and then I think my favorite, seal and squeal. I don't know who your marketing guy is, if that's you, but I'm telling you, man, you hit a home run with naming these products. This is fantastic.
Well, what we decided here is when we lack talent in something, we mix it with beer, and it always works out. And so I do
you
it.
fit in perfect here. We need to hang out. That's when we lack talent, so I mix beer with these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and once you do that, magic happens. And it was so funny. We came up with the first name, which was our first product, was Seal and Squill, and that was. And I asked my buddy. We were sitting there, literally having a beer, sitting around on our fenders. Our favorite thing to do, kind of be by your car or your truck and have a drink and just. You're not driving.
And then
you just
race each other.
Yeah, and then race each other. But I go, how did Gavin like that product I gave him? He goes, he squealed like a schoolgirl. And I go, and I was like, that's awesome. And it's a sealant for your paint. So we thought, he goes, literally, he came outside, saw the car after I was done with it, and ran inside like a kid who just saw his bike for the first time and then didn't know what to do. So he ran back in. I was just sort of laughing. And so we started coming up with the names like that. And once again, my sweet wife's like, good God, we're going to starve, aren't we?
No, I think this is awesome because I think the majority, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong here, but I think the majority of the car enthusiast market is men, and most men still laugh at fart jokes no matter how old you are. Like the juvenile humor is what we're built on, and I think this hits the mark, at least for our group. It hits the mark 100%.
You could have named one of them Farts and probably still would have sold just as many.
Yeah.
We tried to. We couldn't think of anything that rhymed with it, though, or what it was supposed to do. Come on, give me something.
Give me some time, Bill.
Yeah.
Give me some time. I'll get you
Some time and beer.
So what I'm hearing is Bill's looking for suggestions for product names at Lithium Auto Elixir on Instagram.
I'd be worried about like making mustard gas or something like that. Start mixing chemicals together.
That's usually me after a night of drinking beer. I got some mustard gas. It's a lot of toxicity built up.
Oh, that's funny.
So
that's actually not bad, though.
So it looks like you have everything from soap to wash the vehicle all the way through to sealing it and clean, seal, restore, all of it. I mean, your product line here is pretty extensive. Are you done with products? Or are you still working on adding new things to the list?
Our accountant looked at our inventory about a month ago and he said, you're done with products. And I was like, really? Come on. But actually, I'm just kidding. But it's something that when you're passionate about it, you're always just dinking around with it. And I would rather, honestly, when my buddies call me, the first thing they say is, put down your pots and pans and come golf with us. And I'm like, oh yeah. And I know they're just razzing me, but I honestly feel I have more fun out in the lab playing around with stuff like that than actually golfing. So,
you're a mad scientist. You're a mad scientist actually making cool things.
Yeah, well, I guess I probably that's a generous definition, but I just am always futzing around with trying to figure out how to solve this problem or that problem, and that's kind of how it all came together in the first place. So I guess you just kind of do what comes natural and go from there.
All right, so let's start there. So my Ranger, I had it for less than 24 hours and put a scratch from the headlight all the way to the tailgate on the passenger side of the vehicle because we went out wheeling at night just to test it out and I didn't see the tree.
Nice.
And so since then, all of our vehicles, all four of us have had, the entire side of all of our vehicles looks like sandpaper. Like, so in that situation, what would be the best path for me to try to clean some of that up and put the shine back on it?
Well, I will send you guys each a gift box of stuff, and I'll go through it with you. But for what you're talking about, the Seal and Squill has the polishing agents in it that will take those out and really just bring it back to glass. And we made a video of an old BMW 3 Series that was in the back of the mechanic that I know's shop, and it hadn't been washed for literally 12 or 13 years. And it was so oxidized, the red paint, that old single stage paint, it looked white.
Yeah.
And we had a little challenge where we converted it to look back to new in under, I think we did it in 11 minutes.
Oh,
And
wow.
you can go on our page and you can see the transformation. But mostly when we posted that, all we got was, "You guys are full of shit. You didn't really do that." We're like, "No, really? That's why we videotaped it." And they're like, "Yeah, whatever." And so, but the stuff is really quite amazing because it does hydrate the paint at the same time it's polishing it. And and that's what paint loses is natural oils and things like that. So, but I'll send you guys out some stuff, and you'll absolutely love it. It's fun to work with, and then you get kind of even though you like your truck, looking like it's used in the place. Once you do it once, it's kind of therapy. You're just out there left to your own thoughts, and I don't know if I like being left to my own thoughts too long.
Hold on now.
That's not good for anybody.
Yeah.
Nobody needs that.
Especially not with us.
Yeah.
Are we doing a Trail Chasers car wash?
Yeah, we're doing a detail party.
Remember back in the day, Case, when we used to do that? We used to do detail parties.
Go back to talking about drinking beer.
So, well, I do want to. He mentioned the page. So, Detail and Bail is the YouTube page, and right now you have 607 subscribers. And I'm going to tell you that's an atrocity. It should be 10 times that because of the video quality that you guys put up. So, is Josh your son?
He is my son, yeah. So we don't ever say it though, but yeah.
So it's Bill and Josh, and they
isn't that obvious?
Well,
they're like mini me and
okay. But they do these videos of restorations and cleanups and all these things, and it's like, trust me, they put way more time into the videos than we put into anything we do. I'll tell you that right now. And they're really funny. And when you guys first reached out, I started watching some of them and got a kick out of it. And I immediately went, "Yep, we want to talk to these guys." So go to on YouTube, go to Detail and Bail and check that out, and please subscribe. So on the YouTube side, how much of that? I mean, you guys are using that to kind of showcase products and demonstrate what it can do, but like, how much fun are you having with these videos that you're putting out?
It's funny because they're all done in one take, and we just kind of think it through, but it really is just from my childhood. That's what I did is I bought POSs and turned them into something and then got rid of them and went on to the next one because I really hate owning cars. I love chasing them. I love fixing them. I love finding them. But the actual ownership of them is kind of boring. So I would just sell it and then move on to the next one and kind of work my way up the food chain. But, it's funny that's like we talked about pre-show. Because that was a fun way for me to be able to drive all the things that I want to drive and do it. It's funny you talk about the atrocity of 674 viewers because we just laugh our butts off about that all the time because we watch things and we're like, come on, we got to be better than that. They have 800 followers.
It's so funny. Like we do it all the time. Like, we'll look at our downloads and
why doesn't somebody just watch me for like
we'll talk about like our reach and stuff like that. And you inherently you compare yourself to other people and you're like, wait a minute, come on. I know
we're way better than that Joe
our
Rogan
show was
guy.
funnier than that.
Yeah.
My daughter, we've talked about this before. My daughter watches these just asinine shows on YouTube Kids, and I'm like, how do they have 3.4 million viewers for that random stupidity? And like, we're actually putting effort into what we do and providing good content.
Not that much effort.
No, not a lot of effort.
And maybe if you stop talking trash on all these other YouTube channels, people wouldn't be so upset with you.
It is, but it's crazy, like how. Something hits or it doesn't, and you get the word out or you don't, and it's really nuts. But you guys have put a lot into the videos that you've put onto your website, and it looks like you guys are having fun when you're doing it.
Yeah, well, it comes back to again just doing what you like to do, and we knew we needed content to show the detailers and stuff the professionals that were using our products. How to use them, what to do, but we didn't want to do the usual, fall asleep. Now take product B and pour it on product A and remove on the surface. It just didn't make any sense to us. So, this place is a lot like building an airplane while it's flying. You were just on, and it was, we were like, once we conceived the idea, we thought, God, this is going to go great because look, this guy does nothing but vacuum his car for 1 hour and has 1.2 million followers.
Yeah.
And we're like, it is the most painful thing in the world to watch. And he puts on these new soundtracks, and we're just like, I want to shoot myself, and I'm in the industry. And all these, and it's not only that he have 1.2 million followers, he's got engagement that would make you blush. I mean, 6,000 comments on how he's stroking the carpet, and you're just like, oh.
Okay, I think now you're getting into a whole new website.
I don't know if
that's
YouTube.
Which
That's
site was this on?
Subscription-based website that requires adult-only themes.
My nomenclature really sucked there. I apologize.
I'm on the wrong YouTube, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the ticket, boys. We got to go out there and stroke the carpet. We got to tune in next week for carpet stroking, episode 206.
I'm afraid what would happen if I did.
But that's what's kind of funny about it is, and then what happened was we just couldn't. We didn't really stop doing it. It was just we got so busy here, and it came from the rule of planning for an hour for every half hour you shoot. It got so the camera guys would get here, who are also our friends, would go, "You idiots aren't even ready." We're like, "No, I just whiteboarded the whole thing. We're running." And so we do it in one take, and then they'd just be disgusted and walk out. They'd just laugh and go, "Thank God for editing." And so, that was. And then what happened was after COVID, it was really tough to find any cars that were worth a damn that weren't so overpriced. We're like, you got to be kidding me. You're asking 3x what this thing is worth.
Yeah.
So we just put it on we decided we would put it on a 3-month hiatus just until we get caught up with orders and do all the things that the business needs all the time. And that's kind of the danger about being passionate about what you do. You can get too tied up in the fun part of it instead of the business side. So we're cautious of it, but we enjoy it.
Edit notes at 30 minutes here. Did you move your phone or something? Your microphone changed.
On me?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Okay. Try it now.
I didn't see his camera move at all.
Yeah, I didn't know if something like got in the way of the microphone or set down or something. It kind of cut out a little bit, and I just want to make sure but I'll edit this part out of the.
You could be having a stroke right now.
I could be having a stroke right now.
I didn't notice anything.
I
could be having a stroke right now.
It would probably give me a couple days off work, which through the holidays isn't that bad of a deal. I'll be honest.
No.
I'll be honest with you. So
my shoulders.
Yeah.
Go ahead, dude.
Go ahead. No.
I wanted to ask, like, in the past few years, YouTube has really blown up in the car detailing space. Like, there's all these channels that get all these views about. I guess, like, just barn finds are a big thing now. Like restoring, like you restored that old BMW, like, from the back of the shop to restoring it to brand new, bringing out the paint. I mean, what's the because now there's so many good detailing products out there because they all want to be environmentally safe. They all want to do, with ease of use, like single stage, polish and like, I mean, it's competitive out there, but like how hard is it? Like what is the space like right now, like in the detailing world?
Oh, Christ. Those days, like I fell asleep and woke up on a new planet. I was like, when is watching someone clean their car interesting, for the love of all things?
Yeah.
And when did they get all these followers? And how did so many people, when I left the game, there was 6 of us, and I'm like, now I wake up and there's 600.
Yeah.
But I decided to kind of make a paradigm shift in my life where my last company was all about stress and doing, growing and making investors happy and doing all these things. And I decided, you know what? On this one, I'm just going to do my art. And if my wife and my mom are the only 2 people that give me a compliment and buy something, I still was happy at the end of the day. And it was fun and that kind of thing. So that's why it's kind of shifted. And that has a tendency to take the business in a different direction, where you're more focused on how do I make the very best, not, oh, criminy, I got an investor call at 4 today, and they're going to ask why everything's gone to hell in a handcart. And so I just kind of pushed that off and just decided that it'd be I'll just be that guy who does it out of love. And if it happens to work, great, and if it doesn't, you had a good time. So.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things I like is that based on our limited time to talking tonight and what I've researched and seen on your guys' YouTube, and it's very genuine, very sincere. Like, you guys are car guys, you enjoy doing this, you can see the passion, you can feel it, and it's like, look, we're going to do our thing because we think this is the best way to go, and we're going to, and people will eventually, when they find you, people will connect with that. I think it's I think it's much more personal than the multinational conglomerate, like you mentioned earlier, with, you're never going to keep up with the production of some of those brands because, they're making them by the 100-gallon vat, and probably bigger than that. But, the grassroots effort that you guys have put in seems to be resonating, at least with me. And I'm certain that has long-term growth potential.
Well, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much for the kind words. But my last company that I sold to Giant Corporate America, I watched the soul of that company die. And it just, you can't fake that kind of stuff. We had probably 300 to 400 people with our logo tattooed on their arms, and their fake tooth had the logo. There was such a community there that once you hit the next level, and that's a natural evolution of a business, is it has to, but it just loses something to it that I can smell corporate America speak from, a mile away. I'm just like, oh, what copywriter did you do to, my wife's like, you're probably one of the worst writers I've ever met. And I go, yeah, but good writing is so boring.
I was going to say, we wouldn't catch a whiff of corporate anything around these parts.
Yeah, first person to send me a picture
nobody wants anything to do with this.
First person to send me a picture with a Trail Chaser tattoo gets a free shirt. That's for sure.
I'm more curious about the logo on the
cease and desist.
Yeah, the logo on the tooth. That's another interesting one.
That's at least worth a shirt.
Well, we actually were at a trade show once, and a vet from a Vietnam vet, not a Vietnam vet, but a vet. I apologize because I didn't know where he had fought, but he had a prosthetic leg, and he sent it to an airbrusher who airbrushed our entire logo on the whole leg. And I just fell to my knees and almost started crying. I'm like,
crazy.
I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
Okay. This is now.
Yeah. So what was this? Was it?
What does it rhyme with?
Well, my old company was a company called Badlands, and we made hunting and fishing equipment.
Oh, all right.
And we just had a following of people that I just absolutely loved the whole thing. So I didn't hunt or fish very well, but the community of people was good fun. So.
Yeah, we don't off-road very often, so
we don't off-road very well either.
We're not good at it by any means.
Yeah.
We just like
you
talking
don't have
about
to be good at it. You just have to like it.
Yeah, we could start a golf show too. We're shit at golf, that's for sure.
Yeah.
As witness on some of our Instagram videos from Vegas.
When that new Topgolf opens, dude, there's gonna be a lot more.
I'm looking forward to the new Topgolf. So going back to the product though, I mean, so as you develop you're having a conversation with your buddies and some beers, and you identify a problem that you think you can solve with an elixir, and you just start working on it. Is that kind of how the development process is?
Yeah, and I'll usually get it about 80% of the way there, and then I just hit a wall because I don't have the capabilities. So we pass it off to a couple of different guys and say, here's what we're trying for. They come back and say, we've explained between organic and inorganic. You can't mix the two, or tell me 5 reasons why it doesn't work or it can't work.
This sounds to me, sorry to cut you off, Bill, but this sounds like to me like the start of a pandemic apocalypse movie, where Bill's in mixing organic and inorganic compounds, and it goes horribly awry.
That's where the zombies come from.
Yeah, and then his car turns into a zombie. Like the car becomes alive because of what? Yes, right.
Zombie cars.
Yes, zombie cars.
Yes,
yes.
I'm like a wax net.
Yes,
it just goes out.
That's a great pull. So as you start doing, I mean, like, what's the I would imagine, and you can tell me to shut up, but I would imagine
Shut up.
the success to failure rate is pretty rough. Like, how many different iterations of creams and salves do you have to go through to get one that works?
Ew.
Oh, that's a great question, and it's
That's
funny
a personal
because
question.
yeah, from a business standpoint, I'll bet you 1 out of 15 sees the light of day, maybe 20, and that takes to get to that 20. You probably fail 20 times just getting to the 20 that doesn't make it. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
it's really a labor of love, and then you do really have to say, okay, I made that perfect, but how many people
Are gonna buy
need something
it,
to
yeah.
polish their wheel wells with? Not many, so sometimes it's just not a good idea, period.
The how often do you find yourself like, yes, this is going to be great, and I'm going to do it, and you start putting like all the effort into making something, and then you get 14 versions in, you're like, never mind, this is a bad idea.
Cody, I don't even know if I could tell you the truth. I mean, because honestly, that is most of my life. You just get that's part of the game where you don't look at it as failure or anything. You just kind of move to the next level. And if someone gave you a job putting bottle caps on as they went by a conveyor belt, it really wouldn't matter to you which bottle cap. You just keep doing it. It's kind of the same mentality you have to have. It's not a fail or a win. It's like, that didn't work. Now go to the next one. So.
And I would think that based on some of the things that I've done in my life, like I would think that you get this idea in your head and you're like, well, let's see where this goes. And it may lead down a path that's a dead end, but some of the things that you learned or experimented with or tried along the way spin off to the next thing, which spins off to the next thing. And then the end result that's successful is a result of all of the different